So, guys, every time Peter Obi speaks, you see the wisdom of Solomon in him. You see his leadership skills coming to play. You see the humanity in him. Honestly, Peter Obi is the right person to take over Nigeria if we really want the rebirth of our Nigeria. If you really want the down of a new Nigeria, let us vote for Peter Obi. So Peter Obi was on an interview with Arise News Television. Peter Obi is the only candidate who has always been coming out to update the public on his plans, his agenda, and what he's doing in the moment. And you know, he has not lost track of his promises to the Nigerian people. He has always been consistent on what he's going to do. I want you to listen to Peter Obi. Listen to him again, and you will sense that wisdom of Solomon. He knows how to address every issue. Look at how he spoke about the flood issue as if he is a professor in that aspect. Honestly, we can't afford to get it wrong again. Let us vote for Peter Obi. I want you to watch this video. Please don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it with your friends and family. Thank you.
Welcome to the morning show. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Ruben.
Again,
Thank you for having me. That's after a long time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Except that we don't have a woman today. You know, when they want to face me with these two tough men. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. Well, you called for suspension of campaign activities, and you provided the lead in that regard. And you visited some parts of the country, Anambra East, Anambra West. Okay, what has been your experience? And what do you say to the allegation by some of your critics that you have been given only, is it 24 or 12 loaves of bread? And that you have been stingy in providing support. Can you tell us how many loaves of bread that you provided and what your experience has been, you know, on your tours?
Ruben, thank God we're able to laugh today. I can tell you what Nigeria is going today in terms of this flooding is far, far more devastating than it seems. For those of us who haven't experienced it. Ruben, I was part of the 2012 flooding. This is far more than 2012. You can even see it in death. In 2012, about 300 and something people died. And of course, the lands and everything that have been devastated, this is far worse. It's huge. The entire Bayelsa, for example, apart from maybe government house and a few facilities, is under the water. Similar situation in some parts of Delta, in some parts of rivers, in some parts, you can go on and on and on. Over 2,000 homes are under the water. And of course, millions of people are displaced, and their IDP camps, and of course, children out of school is something you cannot imagine, and everything. So for me, I don't even think it's not just stopping campaign. What I saw is far more than I can imagine. In terms of donation or bread, providing bread, I've never provided any food, be it one bread to any thing. Whatever you must have seen is what people brought on their own to where I visited. What I've known is to ask those who are involved or areas where I've went, I've asked the state or anybody that is coordinating them to give me a bank account so I can help. But what I found in some of the IDP camps is that when I was going around and talking to the people who are there, they will tell you that they don't even have 1 naira. So what I've done immediately, I said, okay, how many people are here? And they will say there are 2,000 or 3,000, as the case may be. I can say, okay, why don't you give them this 2 million or 3 million, 5 million, so they can just share so that people can have, even if it's 1 naira. Some of them were begging me, sir, give us 100 naira. So we can also, because the government are struggling to feed them, but nobody is giving them even 1 naira. So I'm going to contribute. Reuben, I've been involved in this type of service far before I became governor. And you know yourself very well that in 2012, I came to Jonathan and said I was going to Haiti when they had earthquake, and he said, what are you going here to do? I said, that's what I've done all my life, that I and my family have been involved in such situations all over the world. While we were still talking there, I showed him my sons, that I withdraw my son in school. We were going to Haiti. I went to Haiti. The ambassador then will tell you, police people there will tell you, that's us in Haiti. And my son that I withdrew from school. We were there for a week, and I was serving governor. So it's not just that today I started doing this. You must intervene. That is the purpose. In Nigeria, the situation is hopeless. If anything Nigeria is supposed to be doing now is dealing with this issue.
All right. And that's why the call for, season of campaign is germane at this point, and other candidates who, have responded, donated, and things like that. But let's go straight to it. Two things. Number one will be, what will be your solution to the climate change problem? Because there's climate change, there's also the dam problem. And that dam problem, too, that we've not done to embark for Lado is also a problem that once Lado was opened, this was affected. And secondly, there's been talk about ecological funds. And I'd like to ask you, while you were governor, what did you do with your own ecological funds? And coupled with the fact that you were also governor in a state that after you left in 2017, Onitsha was said to be one of the most polluted cities in the world. In fact, it had 10 PMS, particulate matters. So let's talk about that.
Well, let me start by my own. I'll start with what you asked about Onitsha. You can go and ask Professor Folade of UN Habitat. I was the first governor ever in Nigeria to approach UN Habitat on urban renewal because of Onitsha. Followed it through by visiting the UN Habitat office in Kenya for them to help us to redesign and do the urban renewal of Onitsha, Nnewi, and Awka. It's a clear studies. UN Habitat is there. They listen to what I'm saying. I followed it through. On issue of ecological fund and everything, go and read, and I shall forward it to you today. Who is the chief architect of New Map, which is what they are doing today? It was me who went to President Yar'Adua and told him that the federal government cannot fund erosion menace in Nigeria, especially in the southeast. Now the only way to do it is to bring a long-term loan from federal government, from World Bank, with federal government contribution and the state contribution to deal with this issue. That was how New Map was designed. Between me, John Ode, the governors of the Southeast, the New Map you're seeing today, and I'll show you the records. So that I've been involved in all this. I've always believed, yes, there might be, somebody can say, oh, your house is still very dirty, but they don't know how you met it and what you have been able to clean. But like I said, go and verify these two things I said today. My involvement with UN Habitat, how we went to Kenya, who was the first governor to do this. Go and look at the records of the New Map. I'll show you later from the ministry, signed by John Ode. You see my contribution to the New Map, which is what everybody is using today to be able to fight the ecological fund and everything. And what will I do in terms of this menace to stop this flooding? There's a combination of so many things that you need to do. You're talking about the issue of on dam. We short of the issue, even the minister said it's the rainfall, it's not the dam issue. But But if you take the average rainfall in the past 20 years, since 2001, it's remained similar, which means it's predictable the amount of flood that is going to come. But the issue is that you have refused to dredge your rivers. You need to dredge River Benue, you need to dredge River Niger. If you do River Niger and from Barrow in Niger State down to the Atlantic Ocean and everything, so your water is silted. So you find out that there is no ability to hold drainage, and of course the tributaries and everything is part of what is causing this menace. And the rivers are no longer contributing to your economic growth as it should be, because you've not done anything. And Rufai, a lot of contracts, several contracts have been awarded to this dredge, which nobody knows where it is or what has happened to it. These are things you need to do to be able to contain this. We have these two rivers put together. For example, if we do this, we'll be able, from one of the studies, even at the said to me recently, and Austin Navarro showed me, it will be able to contribute what River Nile is contributing to Egypt. And River Nile is about 600, I think it's 6,650 kilometers long.
I'll verify.
If you look at it, I'm sure Niger, I think, is about 4,000 plus, and River Benue is about 1,400. These two put together is at least 1,000 short of the length of River Nile.
Nile is 6,650 kilometers.
So you can see it. And Niger, I think, is 4,184, something like that. So if you combine these two, that's up to River Nile. If Egypt can keep Nile, dredging it, desilting it, making it work, contributing to the economy and everything, tourism and everything, why can't we do this over several years? So these are things we need to do. These are things where I will start ensuring that if we award the contract, we're not going to do it overnight, that at least it is working. If we have been doing it, if you drive in the dry season over River Niger, which I drive every day, you could see that you can even walk on the river. So it's something that is solvable.
Okay, Mr. Peter Obi, you recall that popular saying, you are referring to River Nile. They say no Nile, no Egypt. Mm-hmm. That's how strategic.
That's what it should be. No Niger, no Benue.
But I want to ask you, before you joined us, we were talking about the manifesto of the All Progressives Congress and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I made a comment that all of you presidential candidates, you say the same things. Security, economy, I will build infrastructure, I will create jobs. No, we're not dumb. We know, everybody's just saying the same thing all over the place. And we keep asking the question that if there's any lesson we should learn from what has happened in Great Britain, it's about how do you do it? A whole prime minister has spent less than 50 days because she couldn't figure out how to do it. She and her chancellor, they're out. Even Boris Johnson, that in Nigerian terms would easily have been headed back to office. I said, no. It looks like this matter has gone past, the elbow. So what is the difference, really? How are you different from the other candidates? Because all of you seem to be saying the same things.
Ruben, all of us are saying the same thing. I said it repeatedly. What makes the difference in this is who can we trust? What this election is about is trust. You are promising the same thing. Rufai is promising the same thing. Can we look at the antecedents of Rufai? Things he has promised in the past. How he delivered it. Or attempted to deliver it. He must have attempted to do it. Who do we trust among these people? Who among these people can we say have the character, the competence, the capacity, the commitment to at least do what he or she is saying? That is what differentiates us. It's not people are promised in the past. We've had promises that our dollar was going to be 1 to 1. Now we are almost 800 to 1, and nobody is saying anything. We've had promises where we are told agriculture is going to be this. The things I'm promising. And that is why, Ruben, I keep saying, we do not need, all these fanciful, very good-looking manifestos or documents that are written. Let the people come and talk. You mentioned about Britain. What main result is not because what he promised he cannot deliver. Honorably, he pack a suitcase and go out because you cannot deliver what you promised. Everything fell apart. And they're not looking at her background. So within a few years, Britain have had Boris Johnson, who is a Turkish descent. They've had somebody from British descent. They're not going to have somebody from Indian descent. They're not asking about their background. They're not asking about what they go. They're asking about their competence, their capacity, what they can do. What this man promised. I was speaking to a colleague of mine yesterday when this started. Because, of course, you know it yourself and you've Googled, you are an alumni of Oxford, you Google now, they will show you. I was speaking to somebody that I'm very close to yesterday in the UK. And I said, what do you think? He said, listen, as far as we are concerned, we don't care if the man is a Nigerian or Ghanaian or anything. We want to save Britain. We care about the future of Britain. We care about our economy. We care about this. If it's Nigeria now, they'll be talking about his ethnicity, about his religion, about his this and everything, or whether he has a glossy manifesto and everything. Like you said, come and tell us what you do, how you do it. And don't come and tell us through a spokesperson, because this is the only place people are campaigning through people. It doesn't happen anywhere. Obama will come and say what you say. Sunak will soon start telling people what he will say. Everybody is talking with his mouth, so people can take note. Here they will bring spokesperson who will come and say, then when they go in, they said, it wasn't me who said it, it was my party who said it, it was this. Okay. I want people to face, like I come to you. Let people come, Ruben, whatever I say, tape it. If I go and I cannot do it, I go home like Liz Truss. Nobody's name is president or governor or anything.
Okay. But the manifesto is a social contract. Even this Sunak you're talking about, UK and everybody, if I go to Labour Party or Conservative Party's website now, I will see, the first thing I will see there is their manifesto and how they're going to do it. We can check it. We can go to the party's website now. So why is it that you have not given us yet your manifesto as a social contract?
You get it.
Secondly,
you get it.
Secondly, something happened recently that a lot of people say we must ask you. Your vice presidential candidate said on a TV interview that the fact that EndSARS, there was a massacre, is debatable. What do you say as regards that after Lagos Panel of Inquiry released a report to that effect?
Well, I've Rufai, I didn't even listen to that. Maybe I'll go back and listen to it. I must tell you, I didn't listen to it. I'm just hearing it for the first time and everything. And for me, there are things that we need to probably open up tomorrow and look into. I can assure you, I've always said, in my reconciliation, we must go back to certain things and be able to open it up. Apologize to people because things were done wrongly. There's so many things that we need to apologize for in this country.
So is it fair for your vice presidential candidate to apologize to Nigerians
for saying that? It is me, I'm the president.
Okay, so you want to apologize on behalf of your vice president?
No, I'm not apologizing. I said there's so many things. I will apologize. I will apologize to Niger Delta people, the way they've been treated. Where you can say, the first place we found oil in Nigeria, you can't go there today. You can't live there today. There's so many things to apologize here if we're going to move forward. And I'm going to do that. And I did it. When I returned school to the churches, I called the church owners. I said, on behalf of this state, we did something wrong to have taken you as assets. Please, I apologize. Help us to build a good education facility and let's manage it. And within 1, 2, 3 years, we were number one. So there's things to apologize.
What's your read on EndSARS? Were people killed? Because if your vice president says debate, were people
for me,
killed? Was there a massacre?
I said I'll deal with that issue and I can deal with it when I come in.
Mr. Obi,
Just what?
I need to come in here. I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Somebody just sent me a text message. He or she is asking, are you saying that if Nigerians vote for you and you don't perform, you will resign, as Liz Truss has done? That's what the person asked. But my own question is this. Over the weekend, Farouk Perogi, and it's not alone, I also shared that view, that many of your supporters, the people who call themselves obedient, that they are very rude, callous, mean, they abuse people, they make enemies for you, including even persons who are your friends.
Ruben,
They go on Twitter particularly, and they are perpetually demarketing you by abusing people.
Ruben, I've answered this several times.
No, well, over the weekend, I think Farouk Perogi wrote a piece on it.
I agree, Ruben, I've answered this several times. One, there's infiltration among my people by opponents. There are all those who believe in me who are angry. You know, when people are angry, they do other things. What I say to people is, can you focus? Ruben, I went to a man's house and I was kept. I was a governor outside his door for 4 hours. If you ask Senator Ayogwe, they will tell you the story I'm telling you.
Yes, I know, Senator Ayogwe.
Ayogwe said to me, Peter, are you
colleague.
governor? I said yes. Until that man comes out and I know he's aware I'm here, I will not take it on the man of what his people are doing to me. And when he came out, he was apologetic. I'm Peter Obi, who is campaigning, who wants to be president. But they are trying to say that the behaviors of my people is exactly what you, Peter Obi, is going to do. Ruben, you know me. I've been in government. I've served people faithfully in the most humble manner. Ruben, I've never raised my voice on anybody. So you cannot go and say, oh, Peter, because even your son or your daughter shouts at people, that is you, Peter. Yes, I'm telling them, please. But some of them are angry. Some of them are people who are out of school for the past 10 years without job. Some of them are this. You cannot control their anger. All I can do is to appeal. But to say to you, because of what these people are doing, yeah, well, let's follow these people who have not provided light for the past 20 years, who have been stealing our money for the past 20 years, who have brought us where we are today. The alternative is no.
Okay. Let's still talk about security issues. I'll ask 2 questions. One will still be on NSAS. There was something called Akuzu SARS. I'd like you to speak on that. Secondly, the one that there were police officers that were alleged to have killed people, that they said killed people in Anambra State then. That case has been on, and it's been on the front burner for a while. Secondly, recently today, the Americans issued an alert as regards insecurity, threats of terrorist attacks and the likes. If you were Commander-in-Chief, give us step by step of how you willed respond to an alert as issued by the Americans just yesterday.
Refine. Even with a gun on my head, I can't give you detail of what I'm going to do with issue of security. But I'm going to be Commander-in-Chief. I'll deal with it decisively. I can't tell you how I'm going to deal with it, because if I tell you that, it won't work.
No,
but I can tell you
international law.
No,
you have responsibility
there's no
to protect. It's called R2P.
Yes, I said
responsibility.
My first responsibility in this country is to secure life and property. It's the most critical thing, because unless you do it, nobody will invest. The farmers can go back, so there's no food production. There's nothing that will happen without security. But for me to, not even America, all the things I've followed America, even when they were going in Baghdad and everything, they were just saying they will attack massively, decisively, and they never gave us how they were going to do it that night. How can I tell you inch by inch what we're going to do? I'll be in charge, I'll be Commander-in-Chief, and I said in security, We will be responsive and responsible. That means whatever happens, we'll deal with it decisively, and somebody have to be responsible. If you're not doing it, you're out. We're not going to wait.
You sack a lot of service chiefs.
I said, we're not going to wait. Go ask those who worked with me. You either deliver, you go. We're not. This is not.
Okay.
You can't just stay when things are not working.
Okay, and also the case of Akuzu SARS.
Akuzu SARS. I don't know what you're talking about. Akuzu SARS. These are issues that people bring and bandit about. Akuzu SARS were there before I became governor. It's there before. It's a police formation. Police is controlled by federal government. It's like when somebody said, I ordered people to arrest him. I'm not no governor controls police. Did
you order people to arrest El Rufai and detain them?
I'm saying, I showed it in Kaduna. I said, police commissioner who was involved in that was from Adamawa. The AIG was from Nasarawa. The DIG was from Kanu. My ADC is from Kanu. How can I order this? In fact, it's me that they will order to arrest. How can I order these people to arrest El Rufai, who is their brother? Rufai, no matter how ruthless people, they can. I don't even have the order. And in one of his conversation, he even said it's federal government. I was resistant to my local government. Ruben knows what I'm talking. I was resistant to my own local government. So how can I be ordering for them to arrest him for what?
Okay, Mr. B, the big problem that we face now is inflation. 20.77%. Even China, with all their debt and all their dictatorship and all of that, they just finished a conference of the Communist Party. They've been able to record some growth against all expectations. If we were to become the president of Nigeria, what are you going to do about this phenomenon that I refer to as the pandemic of empty pockets? Because some of us, we are suffering from it. Between 2015 to 2022 now, we are facing the pandemic of empty pockets. To even maintain girlfriends for people who have girlfriends, not wives, it's a problem. Maybe you have an experience in that regard that you want to share with us.
Ruben, I'm happily married, and maintaining my wife is becoming a difficult. So another one would be too much. I'm just happy with my wife.
Okay, no problem.
But
just pulling your legs.
But let me tell you, Ruben. I've said that the issue we need to deal with, if you're going to deal with the issue of inflation and issue of rising exchange, you must deal with two issues: physical rascality and production. If you deal with these two issues, you start bringing down your inflation. Today, your food inflation is 23%. With this flood, quote me, it is going to be far worse. These are issues you need to deal. If I have time, I will explain to you how you're going to deal with this issue. That was why I said that the country is not productive. You must move it from consumption to production. Other countries have done it. The studies are there, and you can do it. And in doing that, you increase your GDP per capita and everything.
So how do we make this country productive? What do we need to do?
First is that you have to feed yourself. We're not feeding ourselves. If countries like India, as large as they are, can feed themselves, India today is self-sufficient in food production. Ruben, I was in England when India could not feed itself. In fact, they were rationing food. Today, India is self-sufficient in food production. Pakistan has achieved self-sufficiency in rice production. So is Vietnam. Vietnam has even become an exporter. India have actually become an exporter of agricultural products. As large as they are, 1.4 billion people. And as I said, that the greatest assets of this country is the vast uncultivated land we have in the north. Ruben, today, in Naira terms, our GDP is about 180 trillion in Naira terms. That's in December, in Naira terms. And food components of this, call it agricultural component of this, is about 41.8 trillion, which is about 23% of the component. And we are this where we are. If you decide today, our population is about, call it between 200 and 220. Ruben, if you use an average of feeding of 220 people at 1,000 per day, 1,000 per day, annually you're going to have about 80 trillion. If you have 80 trillion today, you've almost doubled your GDP contribution from agricultural. If you can feed yourself, you've almost doubled your GDP contribution from that sector, because you are now having about 38.5 more, about 90% or thereabout, in terms of your GDP growth from that sector. So if you add the extra, you're going to move your GDP by almost 20%, from 180 to about 218 or something like that. Look at it. With all the other things that are going to come with it, if we're able to export, one is that if you do this, Ruben, you're going to bring down the food inflation. You're going to create more jobs. We need about 7 million tons of rice today. We are producing about half of it. With this flooding, like I said, it's going to get worse. Imagine if we can double our rice production today, if we can triple it, which is doable. Because when I say it's doable, India is 1.4 billion living on 3.2 million land size. And we live on a third of their size with a population of 270 million. So we have huge land that we can move in and deal with. And if we can do this, the economic, and these are the low, what you can call, why do I say it's low-hanging fruit? It's not something you're going to do a lot. All you need is to restructure the engagement. Because people will say, you've been dealing with agriculture, why is it not working? Restructure your route to the engagement. Stop funding it, stop dealing with it. Go and resuscitate your Bank of Agriculture. Let them fund agriculture the way it should be funded. And resuscitating your Bank of Agriculture, you don't need to put money as such. You will just put small money, but get all the banks in Nigeria to say, go and own this bank and run it like a bank.
Okay, but Mr. Peter Obi, it's not as easy as you just said it is. Should I tell you why?
It's as easy as that.
Shall I tell you why it's not easy? Because what it will mean is that you need to buy more guns to fight the bandits that doesn't make people farm on the farmland, to fight the bandits that killed 100 farmers in Zabamari, to fight the legacy issues of infrastructure that would inhibit production. And a lot of people keep asking, you keep talking about production, but as a businessman, you used to import a lot into this country. Those are some of the things they have against you. You talk about production, but you were a big net importer into this country. And how would you solve those legacy issues? That's why we talked about security.
Let me tell you, I talked about security. Let me tell you, Rufai, I've been going around this country. I visited 5 prisons. And those in the prisons know I came to talk to them. And I can invite you to go to one with me. I've sat down with, where I go into a prison, and there were, Ruben, 1,000 persons. And I interviewed 100. Why were you involved in kidnapping? I have no job. Why were you involved in I have no this? Why were you in kidnapping? I have no. And he said to them, so how much were you paid in last operation? Rufai, you won't believe it. 30,000, 25,000, 100,000. What it then shows that if these people can have steady income of 50,000, they won't be involved in that. The more you put people out of poverty, I said it repeatedly, the more you reduce criminality. We have these things in Brazil. I can show you countries where it's been practiced. All these agitations and criminality were all over the place in Brazil. Until Brazil decided to do what I'm telling you now, investing in these people. So in doing this thing I'm going to do, you're going to reduce this criminality because they will be part of the farmers that will be earning income. Today, bandits are taking eight local governments in Niger State. I can tell you, if you put money in the fatherland of Niger State today, you reduce them by 50% because they find something they are doing that will give them money. What else do they want?
You talked about Brazil, so are you going to do social investment? Because it's Bolsa Familia social investment that brought people out of poverty in Brazil.
I will do a combination of everything. There's a combination of everything. You're not going to do one straight thing. It's a combination of everything that will say we're going to pull this people out of poverty because the more we do it, so we deal with those legacy issues. On the issue of what my importation is, let me tell you, what I did, and it's not just what I did, and I always refer to Ruben because I've known Ruben for over 30 years. So go and ask anybody what my business is. And that's what I even study. If you go and read what I studied in Harvard is market-to-market management. I'm marketing. I'm a distributor. And go and ask Coca-Cola that in Nigeria. Ask other people. At that time I was in business, so I was one of their biggest distributors. It's like saying Walmart. Walmart today sells goods from Vietnam, India, they don't manufacture. My job is not I invested in manufacturing companies, but my job is distribution. So I distribute. When I was doing business, I was selling less than a quarter, 25% of what I sell are imported goods. The rest are manufactured goods. It's a mixture. So if you go into supermarket, you see local products, you see this and everything, and I was productive. What is killing Nigeria today is wealth without enterprise. I was employing people. I was doing business. If you ask the chairman, I used to supply him even for newsprint, to drinks, to everything. So I was doing something. I wasn't supplying Ruben because he didn't want to buy from me there.
By chairman, you mean Prince Nduka Obaje?
Yes.
Okay, fine. He's chairman of the Arise Group.
Well, we are still really. We were busy doing.
But let me ask you this.
Yes.
You say you will restructure the engagement, you will resuscitate the Bank of Agriculture,
yes,
and all of that. But when you were the is it the Arewa Joint Committee meeting?
Yes.
You were telling your audience that, look, the North has vast land assets.
That's it.
And that we need to,
invest in it.
Leverage on that.
Yes.
So what are these land assets that you talk about? Considering the fact that the North at the moment, from Borno to the Middle Belt, bandits and terrorists have taken over, and that is not going to disappear. Because there are people who say that this administration has not been able to address that challenge. How are you going to address that challenge?
I've said it. I'm going to say the same thing. There's no way. The reason for, if you study, out of the 10 poorest states in Nigeria, 9 is in the north. You have to ask yourself, what is fueling this banditry? It's attributed to a lot of things, but the major one is poverty. Ruben, the more you put people out of poverty, even Jamaica, a country like Jamaica use sports. There's a variety of things you can do in this country that are low-hanging, even sports. We have a lot of, if you put small money in sports today and train our youth who are eager to do all sorts of sports, you're going to start reducing criminality. They found out people who are doing small footballing and everything all over the world today earn more money than states in Nigeria earn, if not near that. So we need to start investing in ICT, in technology, and everything, in entertainment. There's so many things we can do to start pulling this people out of poverty. The more we do it, but why do I say about agriculture? Ruben, I've shown you, if we can feed ourselves today, and export a little bit of agriculture. I'm not even saying just that we're feeding ourselves and we export a little bit of it. Ruben, you're going to earn foreign income. One, you're going to bring down your inflation, like I said before, and you stabilize your rate of exchange. If you export today, bring in physical rascality, running on it, and reduce it, I can assure you Naira will not be more than 500 Naira.
Okay, so let's talk about the economy. Nigeria has a revenue problem. We're not collecting a lot of taxes and all of that. Most of our revenue, governmental revenue, comes from crude oil. How would you diversify governmental revenue? Because before now it wasn't the case. How would you make multiple revenue sources for governmental revenue? And that's why you see that now as we speak now, we're just living on FIRS taxation money because crude oil and NNPC is not remitting anything. Secondly, for us to be able to industrialize and do all of this, we need power, we need energy. You went to Egypt recently, you've lost transmission, what is it called? Production, transmission of power, distribution, and all the value chains of power. What is your plan? You can see that's why we need a manifesto, because all these things are not just things you say with mouth. You need to write them on paper so we see.
I won't even. Let me tell you. Yes, I'll give you a manifesto, but there's no better manifesto than what I'm telling you with my mouth now, because you can't record it. No, they won't forget. It's that one that will show. You know, these days, once you say anything 5 years ago, before you say hello now, even in my house, so when I'm talking now, my children will say that, can we put this on tape? So when I say tomorrow, oh, we're not going to, these holidays, maybe you post, Dad, you told us that in June, everybody's going to go to this place. They will remind me immediately. I said, I said, okay, I promise holidays, let's postpone it. It's not even difficult to have family meeting with a lot of problems, because they will tape it and wait for you. Talk less of this. Let me tell you, I've said it, the first one is focus on feeding ourselves. That's how India started. India said, no, we're going to feed ourselves. Today, like I said, India is the greatest producer of food. So is China. From almost zero production, India today, a state of Punjab, have over 700,000 tractors. Nigeria doesn't even have up to 50,000. One state in India. So you start with feeding yourself. So you're sure at least you can eat. That is a basis. Because you're not feeding yourself and you have a lot of production and everything, agricultural production, you now think of those you will export raw, those you will now process for export. And you get some export income. Because our problem now is we are no longer earning dollar. You stop stealing of our oil. That you can do. And give NNPC, everybody target. All this drama, people are talking, you give everybody target of what you expect.
No, how can we diversify that governmental revenue?
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. I've just said, for me, the first thing is agriculture and investing in our land. If we do property and invest in the first land in the north, you can, over the years, earn 3 times what you're getting from oil. Then, to the big issue you're talking about, power and this thing, it is not rocket science. All you need is today, who are the existing with a privatized generation. I've said it before. You've privatized distribution. I'm not going to go back on whether it was done rightly or wrongly, but support those who are involved in it today very well by having, one, a regulated environment and a policy that is consistent so they can be in that business. Support them to have cheap access to funding. Then deal with the issue of transmission by decentralizing it, allowing all sorts of production, embedded power, whatever anybody can do, like they've done in South Africa. Produce power in fact, I would declare war.
Mr. Peter Obi, fine.
That is.
We need to change the constitution to make sure
to do that
the power, mix is not on the exclusive list. And
no, secondly, they've removed it from exclusive list.
Yes, and it's also good that You know, even in your home, your children are saying, "Come and tell us how."
Yes.
We are taping you.
Yeah.
It just shows how serious this race
It's a very serious matter.
is. Yeah, very serious matter. That's why we focus on it. But let me ask you, what are those low-hanging fruits? You know, in Nigeria, we talk about 100 days in office and all of that. What are those low-hanging fruits that you quickly address? In 2015, Nigerians were promised change. There are some Nigerians who are angry, some of those your supporters who abuse people and harass people. You know,
Please, I apologize on their behalf.
who say,
I don't abuse people, and I don't believe in it.
who say that nothing has changed.
Yes.
What are those things you will change? Because now many Nigerians are saying we want change. What are those quick things? Subsidy, for example, which has been a subject of discussion over the weekend. Will you get in there and act like William Ruto in Kenya and just remove subsidy immediately? Or you will also say, oh, it will be phased withdrawal. We have to go step by step.
Ruben has said that subsidy in Nigeria is organized crime. Repeatedly. By that I mean that 50% of it doesn't exist. And there's studies that prove that. Ruben, we're about 220 million, like I said, between 210 and 220 million. Pakistan is about the same size. There's no way we can be consuming about 66 million liters of fuel daily when Pakistan is consuming about 21, 22. And we're the same population. They have more roads, from my own little studies, than we have. They have similar number of vehicles. So what are we doing with the extra? So if we are doing 22 million, how can we be doing 66 million? These are things that is worrisome. That's the things we are not to look into. So by the time you remove this, you find out the quantity you're dealing with is less. And then you ask yourself, is it better for me to go? That's what Nigerians want to see. Is it better for me to still put, well, today, let's say the budget, we are told that it's going to cost about 6 trillion because half-year budget next year is 3-point-something trillion. That means the full year is going to be, call it 6 trillion. So by the time you remove out of that 6 trillion, you remove maybe 3. The question now will be, is it better to put the remaining into subsidy or put it in this agricultural product that I'm talking, or put it in, there must be an alternative. The remover, Ruto is not just going to say, I'm going to remove it. If you remove it, there must be something you're going to replace that will help the economy. Now, by the time you're telling people, we can't continue with this, we're going to remove it. And I'm promising you that within the shortest possible time, we're going to have local refining by all, whether it's modular, whether it's this, even though they say they are refining illegally. I said, I'll bring them and say, okay, you're illegal, you're no longer illegal. I want you to be legal. What can we do to make this your business work? Because if we make it work, they will be able to employ labor, we'll be able to tax them, we'll be able to generate more revenue. If I talked about revenue, to generate more revenue is that we allow people to create wealth with enterprise. And we encourage them. Government we don't have enough revenue because we have people living in poverty. I've always talked about micro, small, medium businesses. Today, according to records, there are about 39 million, so you can count about 40 million. Imagine, our government revenue from taxation now, last year I think it was about 6 trillion. I can't remember what I was thinking about, 6 trillion. Ruben, if we today we're able to fix and get 10 million MSMEs working very well, where they can pay 10 million, where they can pay 1 million each as tax, that's 10 trillion.
Okay, real quickly. But you're doing all of this and you're running on Labour Party and you know Labour's view that subsidy should not be removed.
No, it's not their view. Their view is that you have to explain the other benefits.
Okay.
They don't want it removed because people have seen things removed and nothing came from it. People have seen privatization, and nothing came from it.
Okay, so they want honesty. So real quickly, the two questions I'd like to ask you real quickly is, we're talking about how to make government revenue quickly. Agriculture you talked about is not, is not easy turnaround. And disclaimer here, I've got a degree in animal physiology, so I know the agri value chain. I can tell you that you have over 50% post-harvest losses. All right, crop production, you still need to add value to be able to make that quick revenue. So it's not as easy as that. So how would you do that? And secondly, 9% of Nigerians are the only ones that have access to drinking water, pipe-borne drinking water. Water is still a big problem in Nigeria. Only 80 million people out of a population of over 200 million have access to pipe-borne water. What would you do as regards that? They tried to push a water bill recently. A lot of people rebuffed it. We need to get a definitive answer on drinking water. Most Nigerians can't open their tap and drink pipe-borne water.
Rufai, if you look at what I've been saying, I didn't promise that if I come in, everything will change overnight.
Okay.
I'm not one of those who promise growth things. We will start somewhere. What drives the economy and people is hope. We have to start gradual solving. That was why when people say 100 days, I said, you can't solve it in 100 days. But I'm going to give people hope. For example, there are things that I promise that will be immediate. We will stop stealing of government money because I will be in charge. So those who are going to steal it will meet what they didn't bargain for. That one can be immediate. We can remove, like I said, issue of subsidy. We know what will happen. Like he asked whether I will do what. Yes, because we show the people the alternative. But we're not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to give you pipe-borne water immediately. No. I said we are going to start in with, I agree with you that if agriculture is not something you solve overnight, we will start. And I can assure you, if you can increase it within the shortest possible time. It's our power. Egypt, Vietnam, India doubled their power in 5 years. It can be done. And I've studied what they did. India was able to move from being starving to feeding themselves in about a decade. So it can be, these are things, the land is there. It's just a question of changing, like I said, your route to engagement. It is no longer when Ministry of Agriculture will be involved in this and this. They are farmers. I know I've been part of financing the biggest rice milling in Nigeria, Umza. You shock you. It generates its own power from one of the waste.
Yeah.
So it's
price waste power.
Thank you. So it's somebody, and he's saying, I don't have money to give to the growers. I don't have money to do this. So these things can be done as quickly as possible. If you have your Bank of Industry capitalized today, give it the support and everything, just like industries. In this flooding situation, just like I was saying, in this flooding situation, there's so many factories that went under in Onitsha and everything. There's things you can do. When I say federal government should intervene in flooding, for example, people say, I said, listen, that's why we're in a federation. You can't leave Governor of Bayelsa, Governor of Rivers, Governor of Anambra, Governor of Edo. You see Okowa, all these people running around all over the place. They are doing a lot. This is where the fatherly figure of federal government comes in. That's what you see in America. When the things that happen, the president moves in, declares emergency, bring their weight to bear. You don't just leave them. They have not seen that. That's why you are in a federating unit. During COVID, America brought money and shared to people, not the states, because that's why they're in a federating unit.
On this note, Mr. Peter Obi, I think we should let you go. I still have other questions I would have loved to ask you.
Maybe we'll discuss it
security
privately.
and other issues. But I hope that other candidates of the other political parties will make themselves available as Mr. Peter Obi continues to make himself available to us for interrogation. We have spoken on this channel with the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. We are hoping that someday The candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will also make himself available. We are also, we have also spoken with the candidate of the Social Democratic Party. This is an open platform. Please come and let's interrogate you on behalf of Nigerians and everyone that is interested in the future of Nigeria. Nobody should run away from engaging with Nigerians. Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Obi, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Will you be attending the debate on the 15th of November? NESG?
Okay, of course.
Any debate?
Don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it with your friends and family. Thank you.